Perfect. Thank you. Great to be with you guys again. I was just talking to Pastor Green just a second ago. Every time I see you, Pastor, the Sunday that my wife and I were sitting right there next to Rob and Nada at that worship service, I can quote his sermon because I wanted to be a powerfully anointed person. And what Hugh did with everybody here that day was unbelievable. Some of y'all that are here know what I'm talking about. And I still remember that little 4-year-old girl that was right over here and walked over to me and my wife and said, "You're a powerfully anointed man of God." Little 4-year-old girl. Just moved me like unbelievable. I think I told Rob this. I may have not told you yet, Pastor Green, but it was such a powerful lesson. The next morning in our business, we have a session called Beyond the Biz. And we have basically a church service, prayer service, start the week with the Lord, 7:30 a.m. And I regurgitated your lesson. And I told everybody, I said, this is not something I created. I told Rob this, I know. I said, this happened literally yesterday, and now I'm supposed to preach. So I gave so it has had a multiplication effect. And I thank you, brother. You're a dear. Yeah, give it up for a hand, friend. What can I say about my friend Rob and Nada Rab? My goodness, they've been with Gina and I for many, many years now. In fact, it was a God meeting that we first connected with. And I'm not going to mention a lot about this today, but we do have a nonprofit. It's called Blended Together Forever. This is a picture of our leader guide. I'm going to give it to my good friend Eric Bush. He's got a family that he wants to give this to. Rob was there at the beginning with Nada. They would come to our house, and as we were preparing to launch everything, he was a guy that I bounced ideas off of. I trusted his friendship. I trusted his input. And it's just been a neat friendship. Just recently, I was here by his invitation to do a financial stewardship seminar that we recorded live on one of the evenings here. And got incredible feedback from that, Rob. One guy says, "Did you get the link? I didn't even know about it, but I want to watch it." I said, "Sure, we'll send you the link." So, Britton, thanks for everything you're doing. I mean, it's just, y'all are just incredible people. Gina and I love being here. I said, when we worshiped here that day, I said, it's just like family. And that's how I kind of grew up. I was in this little church in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. My Meemaw would take me to worship. She'd sit us down on the front, or actually it was a second row. She'd thump my ear if I wasn't paying attention. I mean, all these things come back in a good way about, it's just neat. It's just so neat. So love being here and love the session. And Dr. Wilson, where were you about 50 years ago when I needed to hear about being too busy? That's what I needed to know. I've been with Primerica over 40 years. It changed my life. And about 30 years into that, we were called to also start or launch a ministry. We knew that God was calling. It was clear, Doctor. It was because I fought the Lord for so long until I finally said, okay, I'm supposed to surrender and do this. And then I got too busy because I'm trying to build a business, trying to build a ministry, and I was running out of gas. In fact, in 1 year, I was just on fumes. And I'm like, Lord, something's got to give. Leadership, John Maxwell was huge. God used that. I'll tell you this story real quick. It was years ago, probably it was October 19th, 1998. I'm sitting where you are, row 1, seat 1. I'm going to a John Maxwell leadership conference. He's teaching his 21 laws of leadership. Some of them I did really good in, but there were 3 laws that I was terrible at. And this is a true story. I got the video, well, they were called tapes back then, cassette tapes. I think you young guys go, what's that? Well, just trust me, it's old technology. That's all I need to tell you. And on 2 of those laws, Rob, he gets up off the stage, comes down, and says, give you an example. Let me say I'm talking to my old buddy, and see Craig right here. And I remember going, I said, okay, Lord, I'm listening. 3 of the worst, 2 of them, he did that. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But leadership's everything. It's just a passion of mine. I love what you guys are doing. I want to implore you to do this annually. Everything really does rise and fall on leadership. And now today I'm going to talk about financial leadership. And you've got a couple of handouts that Rob has given you. But just in my brief time, I want to share with you a personal story and then give you a couple of priorities and a couple of things that you can take notes on. This may apply to you. But even if it doesn't specifically apply to you, it will apply to a friend of yours. And in that handout, there's 2 things that you've been given. One is a kind of a brochure on, well, who is Primerica and what all do you guys do? Just look at that one page and you'll see everything is the answer to your question. We are the Walmart, the supermarket of finance. You could call us the Amazon of finance. When we meet a family, a friend, a small business, whatever their needs are, we can do. Rob's not only a friend of mine, he's a client of mine. I've helped he and Nada personally, financially. And, whether it's life insurance, getting out of debt, saving and investing, you need a will, managed accounts, long-term care, security, cut money on auto and home costs, whatever. We can do literally everything. And the niche and why Primerica is so powerful is we kind of have a special segment of the market that we serve. There's plenty of Tom, Dick, and Harry financial investment people that talk to that wealthy upper crust, and that's fine. That's great. But our specialty has been people like me that were kicked to the curb. I'm from, as I said, Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I didn't grow up with a lot of money. My daddy wasn't born on the right side of the tracks. I didn't get some fancy college degree or some fancy school. I finished a little school in Abilene, Texas as a C- C+ student average, and that's why this spoke so hard to me. It was the only company that sat down with me when I had not a bean or a peanut to my name and said, this is what you need to do with your money, Craig. And they educated me. And that endeared me to that. And it was actually my cousin Steve, which was I respected him as a leader. He said, Craig, you ought to get involved. You do good at that, and we could do this together. That's how I started. So let me fast forward now to today. And in my brief time, what would I want to tell the people that are watching online or here or live, whatever? And I'm going to give you a simple principle. It's called build a financial home. I'm going to tell you the problems that face people here in a second. I'm also going to give you a couple of solutions that we would give for those problems. And then, as John Max would say, I'm just going to kind of stick it with a couple of stories, and then we'll be done. Okay? Here's the problems that face people, and these are statistics. This is not unique to one person. This is just what's going on out there, whether you're a Christian inside the church or people in the secular world outside the church that could care less. These are the issues that people deal with when it comes to finances. This first one's crazy. 64% of all Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck. They are that close to disaster. I mean, you think about that could be, the washing machine goes out. We got to get a new set of tires we didn't plan on, and all of a sudden they're in panic mode. They're literally in panic mode. They're looking at the want ads right now. We got to make more money, or I got to get a better job, or sweetheart, you got to go to work, or I got to get a second job. Well, that's just what's going on. Second statistic. When it comes to retirement, most people don't make it. See, I grew up naive thinking, you work 40 years, you pay your tithe, you save and invest money, and then when you get to 65 or 70, you take your grandkids to Disney World and you travel the world and go to Europe and Italy or whatever. And some do, but not as many as you think. It's not happening. The average family has less than $25,000 set back for retirement. That's going to be maybe a couple of weeks vacation, and then they got to go back to work. And that's what happens. When they get to be that retirement age, let's just say 65, 66, 67, they trade in one job and they go get another one. You'll see them at Hobby Lobby. You'll see them delivering pizzas at your front door. You'll see them greeting you at Sam's Wholesale Club, say, thanks for shopping at Sam's. I mean, that is what's going on. And the other statistic, 50% of Americans don't have any personal life insurance outside of a job. Another disaster waiting to happen. Because people change jobs numerous times, and when you change jobs, that life insurance is not portable. It's not transferable. You got nothing. And besides that, just common sense would say you don't depend on anybody to build a financial house. There's a great verse in the Bible that says doing that is worse than, if you don't take care of your own family, you're actually worse than an unbeliever. Build your own financial house. And then teach your kids and your grandkids and lead, like we're talking about today. Lead, multiply that message from generation to generation. Those are the problems that face people. By the way, let me give you my cell phone number. It's my business cell. You can text anytime, so you can either have it for you or pass it on to a friend. It's 972-333-2323. Again, 972-333-2323. Let me give you 3 quickly solutions to these problems when it comes to life insurance, tithing, and getting out of debt, and then retirement and dreams. Here we go. Here's the first. How much is your cell phone worth? A little bit. How much is your car worth? More. You probably insure it. But I got a question. How much is your life worth? Do you insure your life? By the way, it's not for you. It's for everybody depending on you. That income, those kids, grandkids. Today, lots of parents now live with their kids. That's their retirement. If there's anybody depending on you for income, for what, your life is more valuable than putting the insurance on your car or on your cell phone. But people spend tons of money doing that. Wrestle with the question, how much is my life worth? We would say get adequate, low-cost, term life insurance. Neatest thing, we do more term insurance than anybody in the nation. Our company does. And we structure a product. In fact, we designed it by what we know is what we call the theory of decreasing responsibility, which I don't go through right now. You need it for 10 years. You need it for 15. Do you need it for 20? Do you need it for 25? Do you need it for 30 years? Do you need it for 30? Whatever it is, we customize a plan based on that individual's needs to get them properly protected, which, gives the family peace of mind. If they're not here to take care of what they're taken care of. Second, I love my buddy Rob and I. We have a very similar belief system. One of my favorite verses, Malachi chapter 3, where the Lord says, the only time in the Bible, you're like, test me in this. It's almost like, are you daring me? Well, he's not really saying it with that attitude, I don't think. But he's saying, test me. He's basically saying, this is Craig Morgan isms. He's saying, Craig, you and me, with 90% of your income, will be better off than you trying to do it without me and 100% of your income. Now, it's a belief. You don't have to believe that faith. If you're a non-believer, you can do it your own way. But I just know and believe that me and God and 90 is better for me than me managing at 100 and going and saying, okay, I'll let you do your thing. Good luck. plain and simple. But most people put the savings and the tithe at the bottom. Here's what they do. Well, I got to pay my bills. I know you do. So you pay your rent or your groceries or your cell phone or whatever. And then, if I got something left over, there's no blessing in that. We've got the order mixed up. First fruits is first fruits, okay? Second fruits or second fruit, third fruits or third fruit. I mean, we can go down the list. The Lord just said, hey, try me. Just test me. So simple math. For every $100, put 10 for the Lord. My personal opinion, take another 10 and put long-term savings, long-term investments, building for the future. Take another 10 for short-term emergencies, bills, whatever. And you live on what's left over. You don't do it the other way around. Well, I got X dollars, so I'm going to live on. No. Flip the order. It's a priority issue. It can be done. It can be done. And it's not as hard as people think. What they have to do is realign their priorities and decide, well, is the Lord first? Is my family second? Is saving, investing third? And then I live on what I got left over. I don't do it the other way around. Third thing, retirement. This is a big number. We do this with pretty much every client or even a prospect we talk with. What's your FIN number? What do you mean by that, Craig? That's your financial independence number. That's the exact amount of money you need to have saved and invested by your 67th birthday. I'm using that as a traditional retirement age, that you could live on that income and never have to go back to work again. Now, I'm not advocating you do nothing when you hit 67 years old, just like what Dr. Wilson said. No, there's a purpose. In fact, you're exactly right, Doctor. I want them to mentor the younger generation. Just that alone is unbelievable what we need. Wisdom. But what it does mean that whether you keep working, but you are free. You're independent. You know that you don't have to work. That's a number you need to know. And then have a plan to hit that number. Okay? It includes any of your other financial goals and dreams. You know, maybe you do want to take your wife on a 50th anniversary cruise around the world. Great. Just have a plan for that. Maybe it does mean Pastor Dree's over there. I see Thea over there. Okay, I see thumbs up on that one. I agree. I love it. I love it. That's so true. But yeah, it does mean take your grandkids to Disney World. You know, it does mean, I remember before my dad passed, he would pass on and mentor, the younger generation at that age. There was a purpose. He says, I always want to be, I remember my dad's line, he said, of service to God and to my fellow man. I always want to have a difference I'm making. And he was saying those things to me in his 90s. I was blessed. He lived to be 94. Those are some solutions to combat those problems. Look at your paper. Maybe some of that applies to you. Maybe all of it applies to you. But you probably got a friend or a family member or a buddy or a neighbor or a church friend, whoever, that you just know that it might apply for. If I can be of any help, you've got my number. And by the way, just to say this, it's not to make a sale. It's not to recruit a person. It's to build a connection and a relationship. I let God, I've done this 40 plus years. I don't need to make a sale. I don't need to recruit a person. It's just to connect and then spread the word, just like what my brother Rob's doing. Okay. Let me give 3 stories as I close. I love what Dr. Wilson said about goals. When I was 25 years old, I had no goals, Doctor. I mean, it was just like, I remember hearing a friend of mine named Bill Arender on a closing speaker. I was 24, 25, no more than 20, maybe 26. And he was talking about, get some goals in your life. Set some spiritual goals, physical goals, financial goals. But a lot of people don't set financial goals, Rob. because a lot of the stuff that's been passed down is really not truth. I've had people tell me, well, love is the root of all, money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. It's the love of money that is but people just, they hear something and then they hold on to this, and they're afraid to even set financial goals. My topic is financial leadership. You ought to have that as one of your major goals, just like you have a spiritual goal, a marriage goal, and a parenting goal. But too many Christians don't do that. You should. We can help. That's the first. Second, I want to tell you the other two stories real quick. A guy named Rick and a guy named Robert that you don't know. The Rick story tore me up because it happened 48 hours ago. I'm working at home. I wasn't dressed. I wasn't doing any Zooms. I wasn't going to my office. I was just like T-shirts, flip-flops, cup of coffee, and returning phone calls and texting and all that kind of stuff. That was the morning, 48 hours ago. And I get this call from a guy named Rick, and he says, hey, I need to talk to you. It's about a policy, a death claim. What happens? Is everything in force? So just give me a call back. So I figured he was thinking of somebody in his family, maybe his mom, his dad, his wife, or whatever. And so I asked him that question. He says, no, I'm asking that question about me. And I said, tell me more. He said, well, I've been diagnosed. I probably got a year to live, maybe. I just want to make sure my wife's okay. Everything's good to go. So obviously I looked, so grateful. The guy's got $500,000 of coverage, and I told him, I said, I'll be here to help you, your wife, whatever it takes. Call me, text me, email me. I'm here. It wasn't even my client. I actually inherited it. So I'm going to go grab lunch with them. And I'm going to tell her name, saying, I'm here. That's the impact we make. By the way, unless Jesus comes today or tomorrow or the next day, we all want that to happen. But until there's a 100% chance, none of us are getting out of here alive, okay? Make sure you put that baby to bed and don't leave people behind a mess. And a lot of people leave a mess behind. Don't do that. It's not fair to them, okay? Second story was a phone call of a guy that I hired years ago. Actually knew him from Abilene Christian. And he worked with me part-time for probably 2 or 3 years. And he got all his financial house in order, life insurance, retirement, whatever, everything. And then he just called me up out of the blue years ago. His name's Robert. And I said, what are you doing? How are you? How's Penny? How's the kids? How's the grandkids? He goes, well, I just need to tell you that I'm quitting work. I said, oh. He said, I'm financially independent. What you did for me, I'm now free. I said, wow. I said, would you come share that like at a meeting? Just tell your testimony. That's all, Rob. We have such a dear friendship. I'm just sharing my testimony of what things have happened for me. And he did. And I thought, gosh, that's what it's all about. That's the other number you need to have. Don't be a statistic. Don't be out there. Have a plan. Just like the financial leadership. And I'm going to end with this. It's one of my favorite stories, Matthew chapter 25. When you talk about financial stewardship, financial leadership, Jesus is talking right here, and he tells the story about the manager. I'm going to leave. I'm going out to another country. You come in and you manage my affairs. And the story goes on to say, To one he gave 5 talents, to another one he gave 2 talents, to another he gave 1, and then he left. And then he comes back, and the one that had 5 talents said, yep, Lord, here you go. Here's your 5, and I multiplied it. Here's 5 more. What did he say? Well done. Yeah. He went to the one that had 2, and he said, here, you gave me 2. I multiplied, got you 2 more. And he goes, well done, faithful steward. Then he goes to the one that had 1. He said, I knew you were a hard Lord and God, so I was afraid. I buried it, but here it is back. That one didn't lead, did he? And he called him wicked and slothful. You and I have an opportunity, whatever talents and gifts and abilities, skills, gifting, whatever, to use it for his purpose, for his glory, and to multiply it. Because all these are just temporary gifts anyway. You're talking about leadership as a temporary assignment. So true. So is this gift here in life. This is just a temporary assignment down here too. This isn't home. We're just here right now.
That's right. That's right.
So manage it, lead with it, use it for him and for the blessing of the people that are around you. Rob, thank you so much, brother. Here, you get back to you.